Hello everybody, welcome to Redmen TV. I'm joined by Liverpool midfielder James McConnell. James, how are you, mate? Okay?
All good, yeah? All good, you?
Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. Massively appreciate you joining me. We have to address the elephant in the room, which is your black eye to begin with, if you don't mind. Tell us how, why, and how you're feeling about it.
Yeah, so I got a little elbow on the weekend playing for the under-21s. So it swelled up a bit, so I was a little bit worried, but it's all right now. So the swelling's gone down, a little bit of colour, but it's all right. We're all good.
Yeah, it looks okay. It looks sound, don't worry about that. I'm going to just spend a bit of time talking about your journey, if you like, so far. And last year's cup final, before ahead of this one, of course, as well. Take you back to the start, really. Obviously, you joined from Sunderland under-15s, arrived at the football club. You know, you come through the youth ranks, play 18s, 21s. You know, just sort of tell us about coming to a football club the size of Liverpool and what that meant to you at the time and all that stuff.
Yeah, so it was probably, I remember being a little bit daunting when I was young. Obviously, I was only 14 at the time. But I think like the biggest thing I remember is when a club like this comes knocking, you can't say no, like you've at least got to go and have a look. So I came and have a look just when I turned 15, I think. And then, as soon as I got around the building, down the academy and that, and I was actually here, I watched the Barcelona game as I was doing my medical, which is a bit mad, you know, and they won 4-0 and that. So and after that I just thought, I got to come here like to see what it's about. So I didn't look back after that.
Pretty persuasive game of footy that, wasn't it, all in all, I reckon. Yeah, I can imagine that made your mind up if it wasn't already. So for yourself then, you know, obviously in terms of first team reckoning, if you like, you make your debut against Toulouse, 5-1 win at Anfield. Like, having been there on that night, this is European night, albeit not quite the same magnitude, not the same calibre, but for you, you know, having watched that and experienced a little taste of that, like, it must have been a special moment. Yeah,
it was a special, I think, for every player. You know, when you make your debut, it's really big, and I just remember it went 5-1, and I thought, you know, if it's ever going to happen, it's got to happen now. And obviously, luckily, at the boss last year, Klopp put us on, and he was great with that. He gave loads of lads debuts last year. I can't remember how many, but there was a few other lads like on the same night who got the debut, I think.
Callum Scanlon maybe.
So it was a special night, and one I'll never forget for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, speaking of never forgetting stuff, you mentioned their former boss there, Jurgen. Obviously, we get the bombshell news that nobody expected. Nobody could have saw that coming, really. And then literally the very next game, just a few days later, you're starting that game. So this is your first full debut, for like, against Norwich. And, you know, you start with a bit of a bang, really. An assist for Curtis. That is remarkable, really.
I remember I forgot about that, actually. So I didn't know that was the first game. I didn't remember that. Was that the first game after
First game after the news,
I must have just been focused on playing, But that was a great day. Obviously, it's a whole different ball game, starting a game. I think that's the one that you really want to do. And obviously, I got that pass for Kurt, who managed to put it away, which settled the nerves, I think, and we enjoyed a pretty comfortable win. But that was mad. Obviously, the first time walking out, so you'll never walk alone, and that. That was a mad day as well.
Special. And we need to talk about last year's Carabao Cup Final. Obviously, we're sat here on the cusp of this season's one, but the story of last season was, you know, a special one in of itself and quite unique. That was quite a unique day in so many ways, of course. But for you, you've been in and around the squad. You mentioned a couple of appearances that you've made there. You've been on the bench, I think, in the quarterfinals and the semi-finals. And then obviously you get the nod to be in that matchday squad. Can you remember when you got wind of that, when Jurgen told you were going to be involved?
I think, to be fair, throughout the month, it was February, wasn't it? So throughout January and February, there was just loads of injuries. So I remember thinking, like, the bench was young every single week. So I remember being pretty sure I was going to be on the bench. Obviously, I never thought I would get on, obviously. But, and obviously, when it happened, like, I see a couple of my mates, so Bobby come on before. And then, obviously, Maka was getting tired, so I thought, there's a chance here. And then he put us all on, and I think, like, other than the first couple of minutes where it was a bit of a whirlwind, like, a little bit mad, I think after that, like, you just relax and you know, play your game, and the fans obviously were unbelievable that day. So you just get eased into it, and obviously we started to get a bit of momentum in the game, and obviously Verge scored the header at the end, which was mad. And after that, like, I don't even remember the rest of it.
No, I don't think any of us do, to be honest. We were watching it all playing, and to be fair, it was all a bit mad, and like I say, so unique in the way we managed to get over the line in that. But you said it there, you know, you're on the bench, such a big occasion, you know, the 90-odd thousand fans inside the stadium, Liverpool end absolutely packed, roaring us on, etc. But you started the season under 18s, and all of a sudden you're sat on the bench at Wembley. and you get called to go onto the pitch and try and make a difference in that scenario. Like, can you remember your emotions at the time? Were you just trying to stay focused, as you mentioned a minute ago? And what sort of Jurgen's message was to you? Go out there and be yourself, or just go out there and run the show against Caicedo, etc.?
I think he just said, go and enjoy it, go and enjoy the experience. You know, you're good enough to be here. I think he said. Other than that, I can't really remember, to be fair. I just remember thinking, like, this is a bit mad. But obviously it helped that everyone else was starting to get a little bit tired as well, I think, and we are obviously fresh, a lot of us. So I think you just got to enjoy their moments as hard as it might be at the moment. I think, especially when you look back now, you know, they don't happen a lot in probably your whole career. So you just got to try and enjoy it. And you know, we definitely did that. We got a little bit of play at the end, and obviously when the goal went in, it was mad.
Well, I'm going to talk to you about that. Speaking about embracing and enjoying the moments, obviously Costas delivers for Virgil in wild, absolute, you know, pandemonium. You're the first on the scene to celebrate. You might not be aware of this, by the way, I've done my research. You're the first one, the next one there. Like, I've asked you a couple of times, like, what was going through your head? But this must be impossible to remember what's going through your head. But what a moment. And you're sort of in the round Virgil and Costas, and then you're up celebrating with the fans. Like, just young career, still a young lad, still so much to come. But that must be something to look back on with incredible fondness. Yeah,
I think you probably, like, in the moment, obviously, like you say, I don't even remember doing that. But when you see the pictures, I think, and obviously you see how obviously mad everyone was and all that, like, I just remember thinking, like, we've got 2 minutes here, like, we've got to see this out and it'll be nuts. So I think that was a big for us after the first, but for the first 10 seconds after we scored, it was just mad. Like, it was carnage. And obviously, but I think we managed to hold on, didn't we? So
you did. You did. And a large part of that, I'll say this, you don't have to, was down to you and your performance. Because genuinely, I wanted to ask you, sort of, do you often look back at your own performances and analyse them, whether it be, 18s in times gone by, 21s, or your first team outings so far? But this one, you couldn't really avoid it, because a lot of people were talking about it. There was a graphic made and you were top of loads of the metrics. Like, once you'd celebrated and enjoyed that, and we'll talk a bit more about the celebrations in a moment, did you sort of manage to sort of take it all in and think, God, I actually contributed to that?
Yeah, I think the main one that I took away was that I contributed somewhat. I think my performance, I think, like I thought I'd done well, but I think it maybe gets a little bit over because we're young and all that, which is fine. But I think it's obviously important to know as well that we done well. But obviously, if Virg didn't come and score the header and bail us all out, we wouldn't have been there. So I think obviously the narrative was that obviously a lot of the young lads got a lot of plaudits, which is obviously nice. But I think we've got to remember, obviously, the senior lads that played was so good as well. And we wouldn't have won it without them. No, So but I think I do, like, you always do look back, but I think a game like that, you just can't, it doesn't really matter. It's just who wants it more in the moment. And I think, as a whole team, everyone showed that we just went for it in the last 10 minutes, and you need a bit of luck as well, which we probably got.
In terms of, you mentioned there, celebrating it with some of your teammates from youth levels and what have you, there was that iconic picture, of course, of the academy lads that are looking through the ranks. Some of them more senior now, but obviously like yourself, Jaden, Trey, Lewis was involved as well, of course. Like, for you, does that make that day and that moment all the more special? Because not only Carabao Cup winners with the first team, Jurgen Klopp, Virgil van Dijk, etc., like, you're with your mates as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, obviously I mentioned before, but Bobby's obviously gone to Salzburg now, but I used to play against him every couple of weeks when we was like 8 and 9. He was at Newcastle, I was at Sunderland, and for us to both play in that final together was mad, really. You wouldn't have ever thought that when we were younger. And obviously Jaden, who was just breaking in then, he's obviously done well before and after that as well. So Trey's obviously played this year, Kumas on loan. Obviously the ones who are a little bit older, like Kurt and Trent, are obviously done what they've done. Jarrell and Con, were unbelievable that day. So I think it was I think the whole academy was proud, and it was a great day for everyone involved, I think, and like in and around the academy.
Well, most definitely, absolutely. But proud is definitely the word, I think. Moving on to this one now, of course, obviously it's very much on the horizon, as I mentioned earlier. You touched on Newcastle there. Allegiances-wise, there's a bit of a split potentially in the family and stuff like that. Obviously, there's a lot of Newcastle fans.
Maybe in the extended family, yeah. Obviously, from me and my family, probably not, because you just have to switch. Obviously, my family definitely don't. Will be hoping along with me that Liverpool can get it done. But I think a lot of my mates will probably be in the Newcastle end from home and that. But I think it'll be a great game, and obviously, if I can be in and around it again, that'll be great. If I'm watching from the stands, that'll be great as well. So I think we just got to obviously hope it goes the same way as last year.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. And obviously, you know, for yourself, you've come on in a game already in this competition. I think you replaced Alexis again, didn't you, in that one? So for you just touched on it there, really. Whatever happens, you know, in terms of the squad, in terms of whether you make the bench or not, you're just looking to, if you do get the opportunity, you want to make that positive impact again.
Yeah, of course. And obviously you got to always be ready in case you do get a chance. But at the same time, you can't really expect nothing because we've got so many world-class midfielders at the club, and not just midfielders, obviously all other positions. I think last year was a little bit different because obviously there was a bit of an injury crisis. But this year, you still got to be ready regardless. But obviously we hope the lads can get it done in 90 minutes as well, which would be nice. But yeah, I think to just be in and around it is still a great experience, and we're only gonna get better for being in and around it. So I think, regardless of what happens, it should be a great day.
Yeah, you're looking forward to it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely get the job done again. Yeah, just on terms of slotting this season a little bit, if you don't mind, now before we wrap up, like it's been a remarkable start to his campaign as a Liverpool manager, it's fair to say. For you and somebody who plays in your position in particular, like, how much have you had to sort of relearn your role, if you like? Because it does feel like, the defensive midfielder or that deep line player, that has been one of the major changes, really, in what slot to Jurgen did. Yeah,
I think I don't think maybe there's as much changes as people might think, but I think we obviously have a little bit, maybe a little bit more control, this under the new manager. But I think as a midfielder, it's still the same. You still got to be able to cover ground up and down. You got to show for the ball, be brave on the ball, and try and be as progressive as you can to play it forward. And I think a lot of the stuff are the same. And obviously, he's been amazing since he's come in. I think everyone said the same thing. I think maybe the difference is I'm maybe looking at Ryan now and can learn a little bit different than maybe I learned last year being around some of the lads who've maybe got Ryan's got maybe a few different attributes like sort of to learn off, which has worked. So I think I just got to keep learning and keep watching these guys play, and they're world-class players, and try and improve watching them.
Absolutely. We mentioned a couple of sort of shows of faith he's had in you and a couple of other younger lads as well since he's arrived down there. Is it any different? Because obviously, Jurgen Klopp gave so many debuts out. You mentioned right at the top, like in terms of his philosophy and how he is with the youngsters and how much he uses them. Have you noticed any differences in that, or is it kind of the same again?
I think he trusts the young ones still. Obviously, maybe the difference is to last year is that there was an injury crisis for a lot of last year. And obviously, if there wasn't an injury crisis, he probably wouldn't have got as much opportunities as last year. But I think this year he's still shown faith. Jarell and Connor have played a lot. I've played a few games. Trey's played a few games now. Obviously, Jaden played a few games. So I think there's always going to be chances to play, and I think you just got to be ready. And even if you're just training for a while, there's still loads to learn. I think training is so good. The level of the other staff and the fitness staff as well, I think it's so high. So you just got to be getting ready to get better in training still as well.
Yeah, definitely. For someone like yourself, obviously you come up to the first team, you're involved in Master Squad, you play, and then you also drop down to 21. Do you find that difficult at all, or do you quite enjoy it?
No, I think it's you always need to play. I think the benefit maybe someone who I'm not, so if a younger lad's not playing compared to maybe a more senior lad, I think the benefit is we can always get game time still. Which you got to see it as a positive, because you're keeping the legs moving, and obviously there's still a good level some of the academy games. So you just got to be, you got to give it the same attitude, and obviously the manager will be looking to make sure you're doing the right thing. So I think it's not a negative thing. Definitely, I think it's always a good thing if you can keep getting game time as well as training with the best.
Yeah, it's all about development, isn't it? At that age, ultimately. Yeah, and you mentioned a few milestones in your career already to date, and one of them came not too long ago. PSV. Champions League, first taste of that environment, really, at that level in European football. Anyway, how was that? Yeah,
it was great. Obviously, we lost the game, which was disappointing, but the actual game, it was great. The atmosphere was really good. I think a few of the other lads obviously played as well, which was really good. But it was an enjoyable game, and you just want to get a taste for more.
Yeah, just finally for me, in terms of sort of between now and the end of the season, it's similar to what I've just asked you, really, in terms of like just every single time you get the opportunity, you want to give the best version of yourself, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we don't know how many games am I playing or whatever, but I think you can just keep working hard every day and training, and that's all we can do, really, and hopefully the team wins some trophies.
Top man, Macca, good luck on Sunday.
Cheers, thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Cheers.